Hello everyone and welcome to Learn a Trade. Today I'm going to be working on a Bunn Dual DBC unit. This unit, we were told that it was coming up with an error code up here saying that the water overflow cup was filled. So right now that water overflow cup is behind this panel. So I'm going to take this panel off and then take a look at the overflow cup. If anything, we may have to replace the float assembly. If the float assembly is coming up with an issue, then I'll show you where that is. But for now, I'm just going to get this panel off, take a look at that overflow cup, and see what's going on. Because it's not. If it was filled right now, the overflow cup would be, that error would be up here, which it's not up here right now. Right now it's saying that it's ready to brew. So there was another company that was out here in this location, and they may have emptied the cup and reset the unit. So it's possible that this could run into that error again if they didn't replace the overflow float mechanism. So we're going to go over that, and I'm going to get that panel off, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so I got those screws out. It's about like 8 or 10 screws that go on here, and then you usually have to do that to get it out. 1 second here. Let me just take this panel off. It's easier to get the cover off from there. Got 2 screws on this on this top panel here. This basically covers the middle section where you have your hot water faucet coming out of, and there's a power switch down at the bottom of this that I'll show you where that's located at in a minute. This panel just lifts up and then pulls out like that. And then your power switch is located right under here. I could just going to turn that off right now. As you can see, the display's blank, so that's your main power shut off. It's like a hidden button, and it's down underneath this lower middle section here. Make sure that's shut off now, and then we can pull out our front cover. Okay, and then I'm just gonna get a little step ladder so I can get up top here, and then I'll try to show you that overflow cup that they were talking about. Okay, so I got the 3 screws out of the top panel. This just lifts right up and off. Hopefully you can get a good look at this portion of it here. I think you can see it pretty good. Right here is the overfill cup. You got to be careful up here because it's pretty hot. So just be careful when you're touching everything. I'm just gonna remove this float assembly and take a look, see what's going on. Okay. Okay, well, this is the float assembly right here, and let me just see if you can see that those little tabs right in there. They got it on both sides. Those two tabs are the magnets. It works on magnetism. So when the water goes into that cup, this float assembly will move up also like that. And then once it makes a separation, then it's telling the unit that there's water in that overflow cup, and that then the machine will just shut down and won't dispense or anything. So a lot of times this may happen if this float assembly goes up and then it gets stuck on the shaft and then it might not go back down. A lot of times that is the issue. Right now I don't see any water in that cup, so I'm not too sure on why that error came up. But I'm just looking at the terminals to make sure that those terminals are on good. Looks like the terminals are on good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this float mechanism back on, and then we'll see if we can get that error to come back up. Because before I change anything, I want to make sure that I want to see that I can duplicate the issue. If I can't duplicate the issue, then I don't right away. I won't right away go ahead and I won't change out the part that's suspected, because you just never know what could have happened. They could have had an issue with this unit overheating, and then it may have caused some water to go into this overflow cup or something like that. So, I'm just gonna run it through a couple of tests and see if I can do a calibration on it, and then we'll see from there. This float assembly also has a clip that keeps it from coming off of the shaft also. It's just a little clip that snaps on the top of the shaft. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and keep the panels off and everything, and then run it through a brew cycle, and then see what we get from there. See if we can get an error to come back up. Okay, so gonna get ready to turn this back on, and then we're gonna run it through a brew cycle or two, and then see what happens, and see if that error comes back up. But I did notice that these are the spray heads for the brewer, and just to let you know, these spray heads have the part number engraved right on the front side here. You'll be able to see it. It's engraved, and it usually these have a 98 at the end of it, 098, as part of the part number. So there's a couple of different part numbers for these spray heads. These particular spray heads with the 98 in them are for the dual DBCs. The CWTF series, those usually have a 97 within the part number. So just something for you to note down. But I'm going to go ahead and put these back here, and also these right here. I like to clean up here, because right up here it builds up a lot of the oils from the coffee and stuff. So I like to make sure those are clean. So I already cleaned those. And also, I also use this deliming tool to clean the holes on the spray heads, just to clean up some of the lime buildup that builds up, and the coffee buildup and stuff like that. We kind of just use this pointed piece right here, and then just use it like around the holes, each of the openings, and that make sure that you're going to get a good flow of water through there to soak the coffee. And then I use this long end to go up in here where the solenoid valve is, the inlet valve. I'm sorry, the outlet valve, and just stick it up there and then give it a couple of turns. And then I do that on both sides just to make sure there's no line buildup in that line right there. But your solenoid valve is right above that. And then now I'll just go ahead and put these spray heads back on, and then we'll put the brew baskets on and give it a try. It's better to go ahead and run a cycle, test it out, see if you're getting any errors to come up. This other one on here. Oh, that one got away from me. I was about to spin it right on there, it just flew off. All right, and here we go. Put the brew baskets on both sides. And I use this bucket here. Go ahead and turn it on that button I was telling you about down below here. Then I'll let it heat up if it needs to. So I had it off for a little while, so. All right, it says it's ready to brew. So we're gonna go ahead and brew a cycle. First, you're gonna turn on your enable button. That allows it to go ahead and brew when you press the button. And then I'm gonna do a small size level. This has two sizes, the medium and then the large. So the large will fill up a whole container, one of these here, and then a half, like a full one would be right up to here, and then a medium medium one would be like right about here. So that's what we're gonna do, the medium level at first. And we'll just let it brew and see if it refills, and if it doesn't overflow, I may go ahead and still replace that flow switch since the error did come up, and that this location is a little far from where I live, so that they don't run into a problem later on. I'm going to make sure that at least that part is changed. I'll probably change out the float, but I just want to see first what's going on with it, if it's going into an error, if it's actually overflowing, or if it's not. But even if it's not, since they did tell me that they seen that error and there was another technician that came out here, I'll go ahead and replace that float switch. And I'm gonna do this side first, and then I'll do the other side also, just to make sure. Now this one should stop at around a little over 64 ounces because it's a half. Yeah, see now it's in the drip mode. So it is giving me a good level right here. It's right at 64, which is a good level. And we don't have any errors coming up right now, so I'm gonna let that finish up and then pour this out. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. And do this other side the same level, medium, and then gonna go ahead and let that cycle some. Let that brew cycle finish up, and then if it doesn't, like I said, if it doesn't give me that same error, I'm still gonna go ahead and replace that switch, that float switch, just because of the distance and the fact that another company came out here. Maybe they didn't have the part and they couldn't replace it, and then they just reset the unit or something, or they may have emptied out that overflow cup up there, and then everything worked fine after that. But there had to be a reason for that to overflow like that, and they didn't specify anything. And right now, I'm not seeing anything come up with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace that float switch in case it's faulty, and then that way they'll be good to go. All right, just about there. Should finish up brewing. And again, this is a good level. We're at 64 ounces, which is good. I'm not seeing any errors up here. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and replace that overflow float mechanism. I'm just gonna get this stuff emptied out, and then I'll get set up so we can make that replacement of the float. Okay, so going through the wires here these are the wires for the overflow float. I have a new overflow float mechanism right here. Okay, and when I was disconnecting these here, I noticed that they had put someone had placed a jumper in here. It's like a jumper wire, which I'm removing it right now because let me show you on the schematic. This is why it's necessary to learn these schematics also. Let me just show you 1 second. Move the camera and see if I can show it to you here. Right here. Okay, this is on the schematic, this is the overflow switch mechanism, okay? And if you look, it says normally closed. So then when the float rises up, the float mechanism that I was showing you, when that rises up, that'll open the circuit, okay? But if you look here, it shows you the red wire. Red wire comes over and connects to the black, okay? The black goes over and connects to the JT110 terminal, okay? And then from there, this is another black wire that looks to go up to the heater, okay? That connects to the heater, but that's not a jumper. See, in this case, the other red wire comes down and it goes and it connects to the yellow, which connects to the board, okay? And in here, there is no jumper across the yellow and the black, okay? So hopefully you can see that, because that's something that's very important. And if you look here, if we go by the schematic, we want to go one red to the black, the other red will go to the yellow. There's no jumper in between those. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the float mechanism. There's no telling, we don't get a lot of information on when these other companies come out, but maybe he didn't have the part and he may have put that jumper in there so that it could keep running. But I'm going to go ahead and replace the float assembly. Then that way we'll be sure that it has a good float assembly, and then we can go ahead and test it out. Okay, so this is a little closer look at the overflow cup right here. There's a small nut on the bottom of the cup assembly, so you just got to get it loose and then turn it out, loosen it up, and then spin it off so you can get the whole assembly out. All right, there we go. So that's the old assembly, and this is the little nut that screws onto the bottom of it from the bottom of the cup assembly right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert the new float assembly. And another thing I want to show you is that the new assembly, see if I can show it to you here. There you go. The new assembly comes with that little clip on the top, and it has two like weights on it, like washers. I'm going to take those weights off because the other float didn't have the weights on it at all, so I'm just going to take those off. I'm going to remove that clip real quick, and these are those. Actually, it's three. They have three float assemblies on there, or washers. See them right here. Another one just fell off there, but I'm going to take those all the way off because the one that I pulled out didn't have any of them on there. So what I'll usually do is I'll leave those to the side, right up here in the upper area of the machine. It won't harm the machine or anything like that. It's just sitting them to the side in case another tech ever has to come out and make an adjustment. They can do it right there. And then I'm just going to reinsert the wires in the float, and then attempt to get that screw on, that nut on the bottom there. There you go. And it has a little washer that goes up on the bottom underneath. And there's also a rubber gasket on the inside of this cup. So like a rubber gasket to prevent the leaks. Now I'm going to put the nut on there. Then we'll go ahead and start it back up and see if there's any errors or anything. Just give me a second to get this nut on there. Okay, that's good there. Then I just run these wires down here and then I'm gonna hook them up according to that wiring diagram that I showed you earlier. Okay, so now I'm gonna got those wires fed down there. I'm just gonna take my my needle nose just to make sure that that nut is tight enough there. Make sure there's no leaking. If the water does happen to go in there, it won't leak out. Okay. All right, that's good there. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and tie these into the circuit. And like I said, you know, I found that jumper on this, and that possibly was done because the technician didn't have the part maybe, and he jumped it out, and that will allow the unit to keep brewing. Just make sure we got a good connection, because there's just wire nuts holding those two, so they're in there good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back on. Now the tank's gonna fill for a little bit because I did empty out some of the water, and then we'll see what it does. Do another two brew cycles with this, and then it should be good. Right now it's looking like it's up to 195 degrees and it's ready to brew. So give me a second and then we'll go ahead and start a brew cycle. Just in case, this is the part number for that float assembly, and this is through Bunn, but you can pretty much get this at Partstown or something like that too. All right, back us up a little bit here, and then go ahead and start a brew cycle here. Enable again. Yeah, so you know, this should do it on this here, but I just want you to see that the brew cycle goes through good, and the refill is going good. It's refilling properly. And once I see these two cycles go through, brew cycles finish, then I'll feel pretty confident that this unit's operational, and then I'll just go ahead and put the top panels back on and the front panels back on and stuff, and then we'll be good from there. I mean, the error may have come up, and the other technician went ahead and jumped it out, and then sent the call over to us so that we can replace the part. And sometimes it works like that. You know, if he didn't have the part, then that would be the right thing to do to keep the store up and running as far as making coffee, because whether they know it or not, that's a major income for the store, is the coffee, you know, because of the markup that they receive. So you always want to keep your uptime optimal. You know, you always want to make sure all of your equipment is up and running. And that's another important factor to look out for a customer, is you always want to make sure that they're up and running. And all the times you're not going to be able to do it, but you know, that's just how it goes. But basically, that's what you're striving for, is to make sure that your customers are that their equipment is always up and running. So let me pour this out, and then I'll do that other side.
I remember one day you came in and I was quiet and you said exactly what was wrong with your wife. You said, "Morning, why are you smoking?"
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when the water overflows,
okay,
it'll go out of the tank and pour
right
into
there,
this cup, right?
and it shuts it out.
And then this float assembly right here sits right inside the cup. Okay, and then when the water comes in, that float will rise up,
and it shuts
and
it
then
off.
it shuts
It's
it
like
off.
a restroom, a bathroom at the tank.
Yeah,
tank,
yeah, kind of like that.
Like
Yeah.
that,
So that's what was happening. But what he did when he came, he didn't have this part.
Right, right.
So it seems like what he did was he put a jumper in there,
Right,
temporarily.
Yeah.
He put a jumper in there, and then they sent it to us so we could come out and replace the part.
All right.
So I put a new one in, and now I'm just running some brew cycles.
Oh, okay.
Well, we should be good now.
All right.
Be able to. At least he did that to keep it up and running, you know.
The only thing is don't dump in the water right here. So we got a huge problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's coming out of the water.
Okay. Sorry about that. There's a little interruption there. I wanted to explain to the owner what was happening. So you may have heard that I was explaining what happened with the float, the overflow cup, and the float mechanism and stuff like that. So I just like to, make sure that they're aware of what's going on with the equipment. And he was confirming for me also that the technician did come out and put a jumper in there. So I'm glad I asked him about that. So we should be good. I'm just gonna let this side finish up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and button everything up. Yeah, and again, we're doing half, so this should finish up in about 30 seconds with 64 ounces or so. Okay, and this unit is all set. It's ready to go. I just wanted to thank you all for watching this video. I thank you for the great comments and the feedback that I'm getting. Thank you for all of the support from you all. Just to let you know, well, this channel has reached 500 subscribers. So I really appreciate you all participating and subscribing and sharing. And please continue to subscribe and share so we can continue to build this channel up. And thanks a lot for the support over on the website. And feel free to go over and check out our website for more information and resources. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next video. Thanks for watching this. I hope it's useful to you all. And take care and stay blessed.